Let me paint the picture for you. Today in Los Angeles, a tragic shooting during a 4th of July party in Compton has left families grieving and the community searching for answers.
All right, here's where we begin.
Hi, I'm Garrett.
And I'm Leah.
Welcome to Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett, coming to you from Los Angeles, California. First up, an arrest in the Compton 4th of July shooting that shocked the neighborhood. On July 4th, a party in Compton turned deadly. Community activist Eric Washington and 19-year-old student Mia Bordenov Jenkins were killed and 2 others were injured. This week, prosecutors charged 54-year-old Antoine Jones with first-degree murder in Mia's death, which means an intentional killing, often planned in advance. The person who shot Eric Washington has not been identified yet.
This one really resonates with me. Mia was 19, a student who wanted to be a neonatal nurse caring for newborns. She had her first car just a day before the shooting. That's close to the heart of it. Eric Washington was known locally for community work. We're talking about people with futures and with purpose. What's so wild is the party was promoted on TikTok, which likely drew a bigger crowd than anyone expected. More eyes, more people, more unpredictability. Real talk, the community is hurting, and it's not just statistics, it's families, right?
Yeah, totally. Detectives are still asking for tips, and the hope is someone will speak up about who shot Washington. This also ties into a bigger thing. Gun violence here keeps colliding with everyday life. A backyard party becoming a crime scene. That hits different. If you're wondering why charges landed now, it often takes time to sort ballistics, witness statements, and video, and that can be slow. But the longer timeline can strengthen a case. Let's keep it chill and factual. Jones faces first-degree murder and other felony counts, and the investigation into Washington's killing continues.
Okay, let's move on. A wrongful death lawsuit tied to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department's deadliest on-duty incident.
Next up, Nancy Limas, the widow of Sheriff's Deputy Victor Limas, is suing over a 2025 training explosion that killed her husband and 2 other deputies. The lawsuit says a live grenade was mishandled and alleges improper training and violations of safety protocols, meaning the written rules and procedures weren't followed. There's even a claim that unauthorized photos were taken at the scene. Regulators later issued more than $350,000 in fines. That's significant. It tells you this wasn't just a minor paperwork issue.
That one gave me chills. For anyone new here, the Sheriff's Department is the county law enforcement agency, and this was the deadliest incident in its 150-year history. Why would training with live explosives happen without absolute paint-by-numbers safety steps? I know training realism matters, but lives matter more. If the allegations are true, it points to systemic gaps, like culture and oversight, not just a single mistake. And for the families, this is about accountability, not blame for its own sake, but answers they can live with.
Yeah, that checks out. The courts will sort this out, but either way, strong training standards save lives. That's the heartbeat of it for me. Let's switch it up. A policy fight with a Hollywood twist.
Here's where it gets really interesting. California lawmakers are pushing a bill that would require 3D printers to use software to block the printing of gun parts. Quick definition. Ghost guns are untraceable firearms without serial numbers, often built from parts, sometimes made with 3D printers. The goal is to cut off that pathway. But Hollywood special effects studios, civil liberties groups, and tech companies are opposing the bill. They worry about overreach, meaning government rules could go too far, and privacy concerns like monitoring what people print. Also, the software might block legitimate designs by mistake. Can you believe that's even a thing?
For context, recoveries of privately made firearms jumped from about 1,600 in 2017 to nearly 27,500 by 2023 nationwide, with a big footprint here in California. So the problem's real, but some critics say the slice made on 3D printers is actually a small part of the ghost gun pie. I'm down for tech solutions when they work, but I get worried about false blocks. Imagine a prop shop trying to print a sci-fi door hinge and the machine says no because it thinks it looks like a receiver. That's a curveball. The industry doesn't need mid-production.
Totally. Quick ID for folks. Those special effects studios build safe, fake guns and props that look real on screen. They're part of our local economy. I'm not saying don't regulate. I'm saying balance it. If the Assembly passed it in May and it's now in the Senate, why not narrow the focus to known gun blueprints with strong privacy protections and a clear appeals process when designs get blocked? Otherwise, you risk punishing legit makers to catch a small group of bad actors. That's a thread worth pulling on.
On to the next. Questions swirling around a lobbying firm after the Boyle Heights warehouse fire.
Let's set the scene. In June, a fire at a Lineage warehouse in Boyle Heights, an East Side neighborhood, sent toxic smoke and nasty odors through nearby blocks. M Strategic Communications, a lobbying and crisis communications firm, stepped in to manage the fallout for Lineage. Lobbying means trying to influence public officials and policy decisions. Here's the part raising eyebrows. The firm has ties to Mayor Karen Bass and also worked with the California Community Foundation, a nonprofit that quickly set up a relief fund for residents. Airbnb, the home rental company, offered them 1,000 nights of free housing to those displaced. That's generous and helpful.
That said, I'm kind of side-eyeing the overlapping roles. When one firm is everywhere at once, representing a company in crisis, staying close to City Hall, and linked to relief efforts, you can get a fog of conflict. Even if everyone is acting above board, the optics matter. People want clean lines, who's advocating for whom, and where could influence tilt decisions. Why would a company stack those connections? Probably for speed and reach. But public trust runs on clarity. That's something to chew on, huh?
Keeping it real. Residents just want their air safe and their kids okay. The relief fund and temporary housing help. Still, transparency now will save a lot of grief later. Also, serious shout out to neighbors and local groups who logged odors, filed reports, and pushed for answers. Community data points can drive real accountability. Last up, major flooding and closures on the Sunset Strip after a water main failure in West Hollywood.
On July 16th, a 100-year-old pipe installed back in 1916 ruptured and spilled about 17 million gallons of water. It carved a big sinkhole, damaged roughly 150 to 200 cars, and shut down parts of Sunset Boulevard, a main artery through West Hollywood. Crews say they've made significant progress, swapping a damaged section for new steel pipe, but Sunset remains closed in spots, and folks are being asked to conserve water. Aging infrastructure just means old systems, pipes, roads, and cables built for a different era, now under modern stress.
17 million gallons. That's a lot of water. This is where maintenance meets reality. If we don't invest in inspections and timely upgrades, we pay later in repairs, lost business, and disrupted lives. Not a lecture, just the math. If you commute through West Hollywood, be ready to reroute around the Strip, watch for tow signage, and give crews space. Also document any damage for claims. Let's shed some light on this. Prevention costs money, but emergency fixes cost more, in dollars and in headaches.
All right, that ties it up nicely.
This has been Laid Back Local, the news of the day, with Leah and Garrett, reporting from Los Angeles. Have a great day, and join us again tomorrow for more updates.